757 with 8. Much better.
This little Kimber CDS9 is really growing on me. The question is whether or not it's living up to all the marketing hype. On the marketing, they say it's really designed from the ground up, taking the best elements of the Micro 9 and the KDS9. I've done a review on, well, the KDS9 at least. May have done one on the Micro, don't recall. I just wish they would have taken one more step and made a 1911 style trigger from the KDS9 in this CDS, that's covert double stack. Instead, they use the pivoting micro type trigger that's based on the old Colt Mustang design. And I talked about that in my last video. And if you want the specifics about what this gun does, just check the card up here and go into the last video and it'll tell you all about it. I'm not going to get into all those little details today. I'll probably mention a couple of them. Alright, we did shoot this with iron sights, and as you can see, there is an optic on it, the Osight S. We're going to talk more about that here in just a little bit. Thanks for staying with me while we're taking a second look at the Kimber CDS9 covert double stack 9mm micro pistol. This is rapidly growing on me. I'm kind of liking this gun. I initially shot it with iron sights. Of course, you saw the sight in, I think, in the original video where I sighted the thing in. It was right on, shooting just a hair high, but not bad. And I've done a lot of work with iron sights on this gun, and I even hit in the little plates at 50 yards. I know. Who wants to shoot a 50-yard a gun with a 3.18-inch barrel at 50 yards? I do. My range, my gun, I want to know what I can do, and I know what I can do with this little gun. Wonderfully accurate at 50 yards. In the initial video, I did mention that it's got a rail on it if you want to hang stuff on it. I'm not a big fan of that, especially for a carry gun. But I did find in all my shooting that this is a really good place to perch my left thumb. It doesn't have any kind of a thumb pad or anything, but just indexing my thumb right on that rail does help a little bit with grip positioning. I also mentioned the trigger. By the way, this gun is unloaded. Yeah, there's a mag in it, but the mag's empty. I did mention that that little hook on the bottom of the trigger bothered me, and the more I shoot it, and I've got over 300 rounds to the thing so far, the less it bothers me. We are going to do a 1,000-round total wrap-up with this gun. I'm going to see how far to go. I haven't cleaned it yet. I did lube it. I'm going to see how far this will run. But anyway, that little hook at the bottom of the trigger doesn't bother me. Did mention it's got an ambidextrous safety, external extractor, forward grip serrations. They aren't really super aggressive, but they do work for charging it overhand or press checking underhand. And the G10 frag pattern grips are working fine. I complained a little bit. I won't say complained. I did mention I wish that the grip were a little longer than the 10-round mag. Some of you are going to say you don't need to carry a 10-round mag, when in fact it does come with a 13-round mag, which you can get a full grip on. And of course you can, it also comes with a 15-round mag. You have to order the 10-round mag separate unless you live in one of those states that has a mag limitation. I will probably carry the 15-round mag as a spare, but for the best concealment, I'm going to carry it with the 10-round mag. And yes, you can get 10 rounds in. In fact, you can run 10 rounds in the mag with one in the chamber. So you got 11 to start with, and it's okay. So it's kind of growing on me. I still wish it were just a hair longer, maybe an 11-round mag, so I could get just the last little bit of my little finger on there. But it does work for me okay. All right, I did mention that, in fact, I think I went on and on about in the original video about lack of an owner's manual. And I want to tell you why this thing really should have had an owner's manual. Now, they gave you, what I say, 37-page manual with all the warnings on it, but you had to snap a QR code in order to get the owner's manual. I like paper owner's manuals, and I ran into a problem that cost me a couple hours out of my life that I probably wouldn't have run into if I had had a real owner's manual. In fact, I had to download it, and unfortunately I'm at home. I'm not out of the range where I have to download to my phone. I could download to a nice 27-inch monitor and read a real owner's manual. Certainly not going to print 80 some odd pages, but if I'd have had a real owner's manual, I probably, well, I already said that. And here's why. I'm going to take this optic off briefly. In fact, I'm going to swap optics and put on another one here in just a minute. By the way, I've got about 200 rounds with this Osight optic on there. I'm going to talk more about that in just a minute. And after 200 rounds, I wanted to see how long the factory thread locker would hold. And it started to loosen up a little bit, both of these screws, after 200 rounds. So here's where I had a problem because I didn't read the online owner's manual. If I had a paper one, I would have read the thing. All right, as I carefully take the optic off, you'll see that right under here is the safety plunger. And I was careful taking it off this time. I wasn't the first time. Didn't even notice this thing flew out of the gun when I took the cover plate off. And I finally looked around and said, yeah, just before I put it back on, I want to see the torque specs. And I checked the Kimber owner's manual, got down to page 60 where it talks about the optics plate, and it does not mention torque specs anywhere. So I did eventually torque these back down to my standard 15 inch-pounds, which is really what you need for the 632 screws. But anyway, I didn't notice that came out of there. And until I read the owner's manual on page 60, it starts out with a warning that this thing may go flying. And yes, it did. So I searched high and low through my cave, and finally I happened to wander out into my shop outside the door to my cave, and just happened to look down and see this little guy sitting on the floor about 15 feet from my table here in the cave. Had I read the owner's manual, I wouldn't have had to spend 2 hours searching for that thing. And if I hadn't found it, I don't know what I would have done. I obviously ordered a new part. But give me a paper owner's manual. I'll read it. It'll tell me these things. I'm not going to download one to my phone. All right, I know I'm an older guy. That's how it works. All right, I want to put the other optic on here in just a minute, and then I want to talk about the optics. So this is the Osight S that's in black, and the reason I'm going to switch it is because I want to try out the other optic. So this is how the Osight S comes packaged. Really nice packaging. Easy tab to pull out the thing and the screws. We'll get to the packaging here in a minute. It's got the wrench, a lanyard, charging cable, USB-A to USB-C, and the USB-C is what goes inside this charger. This is the black one. And screws we'll come back to in just a minute. Nice packaging of the Osight. Now this particular one is olive drab green, and there's your charging device, which we're going to talk about, and there is the optic. Really nice packaging, and it does have an owner's manual. Wow, what a concept. It also has a readme first, talking about zeroing, talking about installing, and it says down here the 632 screws are 17 inch-pounds. I did 15. All right, so it does have that. Thank you, Osight, for doing that. Talks about compatible firearms, doesn't mention the Kimber CDS9 because it wasn't around when this thing first came out. Tells you what screws to use for each one, and screws are something that I wish every sight manufacturer would do this. It's like 7 different sets of screws in here. It's got, and it even says on the outside of the box, you got your 632s, 2 different lengths of M4s, 2 different lengths of M3s, and 2 different lengths of 640s. And you get 3 of each, not just 2. Man, that's service. Very nicely packaged. Wow, it works. All right. And it also comes with a real paper owner's manual. And let's see, it gives all the instructions here in 9 different languages, but a real owner's manual tells you everything you need to know about this optic, how to charge it and so forth. Oh, but it also does give you a safety warnings, please read first, all that stuff. All right. Tool to do it with. And I'm going to put, in fact, we'll put it on while I'm talking here. It's got to be real careful of this little guy right here. Kimber owner's manual would have saved me a lot of trouble. All right, carefully put that there. By the way, the optic, or the gun is cut for the RMSC, which is the little footprint, and it's a direct mount. You don't need plates. Man, I wish they'd standardize an RMS and an RMSC, or RMR, RMSC. Standardize on those. Now again, I'm not going to torque these down just yet. I'm going to put it on for demonstration's sake, and then I'll put fresh thread lock, clean up the threads, put fresh thread locker on, and then have to resight the thing after the thread locker dies. But for right now, just snug it down, and I don't know if I'm going to want to keep the olive drab one on there or not. But what I really want to talk about this sight is the charging. You don't have to worry about changing the battery in it. This is the charger. You plug the charger into the USB cable, and that'll charge up the device itself. You can see right now it is flashing. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not. Probably not. It was flashing initially. Try it again. There, it's flashing, showing it's charging, and it shows the state of charge of the charger itself. You can supposedly get 3 full charges of the optic out of the charger without having to plug it back in again. And any question of what the state of charge is, push the button on the side, it tells you the state of charge of the charger. Put it over the optic, and it tells you now the state of charge of the optic itself, and it is charging. So the optic didn't come fully charged. Just put this thing on, an hour and a half later, the optic is fully charged. And again, you want to see what your optic charge is, push the button. Don't have to worry about changing batteries. Really, really nice way to do it. This is an enclosed emitter optic. So it's got glass on the front, glass on the back. And you can see the charging area on top. Adjustable, of course, for windage and elevation. And what I really like about this is it has a little sort of a pseudo rear sight. And that does do a really lower third co-witness, but you'll also see as I dip the sight down, and these came pretty well aimed, so as that the red dot dips down, you can see the front sight goes way down. So in order to shoot this thing accurately with iron sights, and I did do that, I had the optic off, and you can see this is about the sight alignment I had to get in order to shoot accurately, so that the red fiber optic in the front is sitting right down pretty much in the notch, and the front sight is sticking up way above it. Kind of unusual for sight alignment, but again, it's better than nothing. If something happens and the sight goes out, you've got your backup iron sights. So again, direct mount, does co-witness low, and it has a 2 MOE dot, and of course that shows up a whole different in the camera right now, and also has a 32 MOA circle. And again, it's not showing up as a nice circle in the camera, but that's really what it is. And then you can also do the dot circle, kind of like, you know, some of the other optics that give you the choice between the 3, and real easy to switch back and forth between them. Also, as you push the button on the side here, and this, I know this won't show up in the camera, there's a tiny little LED right here that'll show you a state of charge. Depending on the color of that LED, it gives you an idea what the charge is without even having to put the cover back on to do it. And the final thing that I really like about the Osight S is the fact that it's auto adjust. Now, I don't generally like auto adjust, but I'll tell you why I like this one. Well, first of all, my problem with auto adjust, if you're standing in a bright area shooting into a dark area, it's generally going to be fine, because when you're in a bright area, you want a brighter dot in order to be able to see the thing. When you're in a dark area, you want a dimmer dot. So in bright, shooting into dark, you've got a really nice bright dot, great. If you're in a dark area, however, shooting into bright, it just doesn't work as well. And that's what I don't like about auto. But and most of the optics I've got that are auto adjust, you can't put them in a manual mode. However, with this one, you can. It'll work in manual mode. You can switch it to manual mode, or it'll also work in auto mode. I prefer to keep it in manual. So a lot of nice things to like about this. The OAL housing, they claim is nearly as light as aluminum. I don't know what the proprietary material is there, but I did, when I had this one on, I did bang it a few times against a 2x4 to charge it, and you can see it got still scratching on there, just a lot of dingy. By the way, you will notice on this there's some dingy on the front, thanks to Kimber's having a witness hole for your loaded chamber indicator right in front of it. Put it off to the side. Come on, you don't need it right on top. So Olight claims that this has been, the Osight S has been tested to more than 100,000 rounds, holding 0 and still working fine. Nice the fact that it's a compact, it's just a hair larger than the frame, not much. So there's no intrusion at all, no protrusion really when you're working the gun. So it's still compact. But the direct mount is something that I really do like. And certainly the ability to charge with this or find out the state of charge. A lot of good things to say about the Osight S optic. All right, one other thing I want to talk about too with the Kimber is the holster. I just got word from Kevin at Muddy River Tactical here a week or so ago that they now have the mold for the CDS, and here it is. I ordered this particular one off the website. No, they didn't send it to me for free. I bought it and just got the carbon fiber pattern to sort of match the gun. Also got a mag pouch with it, and it's got a little tension device that you can see in there that really holds that magazine nicely. So I now am equipped to carry this thing. I put enough rounds through this thing to know that it's going to work and work well. I had one failure with this gun, but that was an ammo related issue. This 115 grain Winchester right here must have been something to do with the sealant they put on there. This thing came in a brown box, so maybe it's mil-spec, I don't know. But this would not fully go into battery, and I had to work hard to get the stuck round back out of it. And I'm thinking that's probably because of that sealant. That's the only failure I had out of that 115 grain ammo. I shot Tula cheapy steel case ammo. So the question is, will it run steel case Tula? Let us find out. Chambered it. All right, let's see if it only got 10 rounds in the 13 round mag. See if it'll run it. Yep, it does. Shot 124 grain federal HST tactical law enforcement ammunition. Next question. What about 124 grain federal tactical or law enforcement HST? Chambered that out of the 10 round mag. I only had 9 rounds in there. 147 grain Remington Golden Saber ammunition. This one I do have 10 rounds in. It's running everything. It ran everything, ran it well. 124 grain hand loads, 115 grain factory Winchester. I've shot a bunch of stuff out of here. Not a hiccup so far. Would I be comfortable carrying this right now? Absolutely. Particularly with that Osight S optic on it. Probably go back to black just for color coordination at some point, but I'm going to try it with both. All right, so everything is working fine with the Kimber CDS9 covert double stack 9mm micro pistol. Next review on this gun will be coming with when I got more than 1,000 rounds in it, and I'll let you know how it held up. My expectations are high, but I don't see any reason why I won't get there. All right, another one of my longer videos, but you know that's how they run on this channel. Thanks so much for stopping in. All right, stayed open after the last shot.